Hello, I'm Rico Cavella, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, Operations Manual for your body and for your mind. And the title of this session is Primal Play. And I think this is going to be one of my favorites because, I'm all about making exercise and fitness and life fun. So that's what this is all about, how to play more and how to more fun and get yourself in shape by having fun. And so we have the perfect expert and teacher today. His name is Daryl Edwards. He is an author, a movement coach, and a physical activity, health, and play researcher. He is the founder of the Primal Play method, and he advises people on maintaining a healthy lifestyle amidst the epidemic of obesity and other chronic lifestyle diseases. So Daryl Edwards, thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. That was a great introduction, Rico, and I'm so looking forward to the conversation for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be fun because I know we're into this. We got a lot of the same ideas and what we're doing. So let's get right into it. And I'd like to get your tell us about how you define play and why is movement and play so important for self-care and for good health.
Yeah, so I've got sort of three answers for that actually. So one is a definition that's attributed to Albert Einstein, which is that play is the highest form of research. That's the first answer I have. The second is another fantastic quote definition of play by Dr. Stuart Brown, which is that the opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression. So that's my second definition. And my third, which is my own, is that play is not the activity that you do, it's the mindset that you undertake that activity with. So those three sort of ideas encapsulate play in my opinion.
So good. I like that so much. And really, yeah, play's really a feeling, isn't it? It's how you feel, right? When you're playing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Completely the case. You could have two people doing exactly the same activity. One person could be in a playful state, the other could be in a non-playful state. And if you take away the formal definitions and we talk about how we feel, I suppose the absence of play, we recognize that more. So the absence of play would be the absence of joy, the absence of pleasure, of intrinsic motivation. So the activity itself almost perpetuates sustainability in and of itself. You're not too concerned about what the outcomes are. You're more concerned with how do I feel right here, right now. So it's completely mindful without having to be taking part in a mindful practice. It's also something that is a part and parcel of our DNA. So all mammals have a set of ludic genes, of play-based genes, and humans, of course, have an expression of play in which is very well developed, at least biologically. Biologically it is, psychologically it is. Unfortunately, culturally, play is certainly dampened down. Society dictates that the older we get, we should be dialing back on playful expression and adhering more to convention and conventional wisdom about human behavior, about social behavior. And play then becomes an almost a bolt-on of maybe once a week. We'll go out partying, or we'll play poker, or we'll go gambling. It becomes a very discrete activity rather than something that we encompass as and part and parcel of our day, as we would have done as kids. As kids, you're pretty much waking up saying to yourself, what am I going to do today that involves lots of play? and hopefully I can spend my entire day playing. And that's like heaven on earth, until adults tell you maybe you should stop doing that and do something more productive, not recognizing that play is extremely productive. It's fantastically productive.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
I just wanted to add, I actually have this saying in my Ageless Living book. It's, do we, uh, do we stop playing because we grow old, or do we grow old because we stop playing?
Mm.
That's kind of summarizes it up, doesn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, it totally does. And I mean, I totally believe that, people who age, I don't want to say age well, but if you think about the most remarkable individuals of a certain age, and if you take away, many of them will have different ideas as to what constitutes a happy and long, well-lived life. But certainly, the one thing that will be common across all those individuals will be that glint in the eye, will be that youthfulness, that exuberance that exists, regardless of what they can do physically. So it's not about, maintaining your abilities that you had as a 21-year-old
Right.
for the rest of your life. But certainly the spirit of youthfulness and seeking out joy and being curious about life and having a sense of purpose in what you do, that certainly is something that is the essence of play. And I think the acceleration, the catalyst for aging, one of those certainly is being devoid of play, is just focusing on the serious
Exactly.
and seeing play as being superfluous. I totally agree with that point of view. So
Yeah,
if you want to reduce stress, if you want to maintain youthfulness, if you want to maintain vitality, if you want to be able to express yourself and interact with your environment in a way that is pleasurable and meaningful, play is one way of doing so.
absolutely. So well said. So well said, Daryl. I just want to mention this real quickly is that quite a few years ago, they did a survey of centenarians, people who lived to be 100 and were fairly healthy.
Mm,
And they did this. And one of the main questions they asked them was, why do you think that you lived this long and you're still pretty healthy? And almost 95% of them, the main thing they said was, because they weren't all stressed out. They enjoyed their life. They had fun. They had fun. They
mm,
enjoyed their
mm.
life. That's the biggest, I think that's the most important factor for staying healthy and having a long, healthy, energetic life.
Oh, for sure. You've got to have a reason, a reason for getting out of bed, a reason for wanting to feel good about your day and to make choices that you feel happy about. And of course, we can't be in control of all of the choices that we make or that we are sort of compounded on us. But certainly, we can change our attitude. We can change our mindset. And so not all activities that I do I enjoy.
Right.
of course not. But certainly I can adapt the activities to become more playful. I can add gamification in an analog sense in a way that makes activities more engaging. So with exercise, for example, with movement, which is what my specialty is, and recognizing the importance of physical activity for health and for longevity and for maintaining independence and quality of life and maintaining function, all of those things that we want, preventing disease, treating disease, all of those things that we know physical activity is remarkable for in terms of the evidence base. We also know that people find it very difficult to maintain a long-term love affair with exercise. So you have the hardcore of individuals who are self-disciplined, highly motivated, who will do whatever it takes to maintain their body composition, to be performant in fitness, to continue with their workout programs. And then you have everyone else who really struggle.
Yeah.
And the everyone else are the majority of human beings. Because exercise is not something that humans were designed to do. Movement is natural. Exercise is a kind of an artificial construct designed by humans to ensure that we're getting our physical activity needs because we're not getting them necessarily in our normal day-to-day activities. So we find it difficult to get to grips with. We're like, hold on a second, you want me to burn calories optionally? You want me to exert energy when I don't really have to?
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. My DNA is saying, relax, slow down, take it easy, seek out convenience, find easier ways of achieving the same objective. That's what our minds and our body is constantly striving for, convenience. Hence why we invented the wheel, we invented the chair, we invented locomotion that does the work for us to make it easier for us. We have technology now that enables us to communicate from San Diego to London without having to travel great distances to get there, right? You know, so there's all these advances, but the downside is many of those advances make us feel more comfortable moving less,
I just
becoming
want,
more sedentary.
I just want to add, yeah, you're exactly right. You know, but we always go to extremes, right? We've actually convenienced ourselves to death. You know, now we can't even get up to turn on a speaker. We can just say, Alexa, turn on something, or turn on the music. We can't even get up to turn on music. You know, because I don't know why we get go to such extremes, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Always about
And
balance, isn't it?
yes, it is. It is about balance, and that's a really good point. And it's, for me, it's really difficult. I was thinking today about the fact that I've just moved home, and I quite like minimalism on the one hand, but unfortunately, I'm also a hoarder. so I have this constant conflict of, I want to have spacious, no clutter, you know, things locked away, stored away. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, there's all that nostalgia, there's all those memories, there's all those keepsakes that I want to keep and have access to.
Yeah.
And so I feel it's very similar with physical activity. On the one hand, we know we should be physically active. We know exercise is good for us. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, this armchair feels really great, really comfortable. As you say, I don't want to stand up and switch the light on. I want to say, hey, Alexa, hey, Google, hey, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of dichotomy. That's the ambiguity, I suppose, between those opposing aspects of movement or lack of movement, being physically active or being sedentary. And finding balance is key. And unfortunately, the environment, I feel, is far more powerful than our decision making when it comes to finding balance. That's what I would argue. It's a little bit like the food industry. If you're bombarded, if you're surrounded by processed foods, artificial foods, you know, convenience foods, it's far easier to partake in those than it is for you to source your own foods, prepare it yourself, cook it, you know, go through all of that work, plant it, you know, cultivate it. That's far more difficult than saying, here you go, I can click a button and have my food delivered to me within a short space of time. And I'm certain within the next decade, I mean, I'm being a bit facetious,
Yeah.
but maybe a generation, I can imagine you'll be able to hire someone to feed you.
Yeah.
You know, just like
you can't even lift your arm.
Yeah.
We'll have a little robot will feed us. A robot will feed us.
Yeah. I'm certain it's like, you know, it's going to be like, you know what, you know, we have this, all of us have this image in our minds of being fed grapes. You know, I'm just sitting down on a chaise longue, just kind of like being pampered and being fed grapes. I don't want to have to involve the effort of having to actually cut up food or, you know, and I feel we're going to get to the stage of all foods will be available, whether it's by another human or by some sort of Android device. But I feel we're going to go even one step further, which is going to be, all food is going to be blended up for us, you know, liquidized, because we can just kind of gulp it down, or to a pill, and, you know, a kind of a bit like the Star Trek kind of, oh, here's your three square meals in one.
Wasn't there a movie? Wasn't there a movie a long time ago called Solvent Green? It was something like that, you know, just some kind of a thing.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
But here's the thing. Here's the message I think, Daryl, that we need to get out. The message we need to get out to people is that we weren't put here on this planet. We're here for our purpose, and our purpose was not to make it as easy and as convenient and just be comfortable and be in a comfort zone. That's not why we're here. We're here to learn and grow and be our best self, and to be our. Here's the other thing I want to get your input to is that why do you think it is? Because you and I and people who are into this know how much better we feel when we exercise regularly and when we get ourselves fit and in shape. We feel better, we look better, we can accomplish more, we can do everything better in our whole life. And I think it's commonly knowledge that that's true, yet
Yes.
still people, why don't they get it that I need to do this? What do you think that is?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel it's just the fact that you have to do, in order to receive the benefits of physical activity, of exercise, you have to do the work.
Right.
There is no sidestepping it.
But that's the same in everything in life.
You
That's the
know,
same in everything in life, right? If you want to be
of course
successful.
it is. Of course it is. But I think humans, because of this driver for convenience, because we're constantly being sold silver bullets, you know, like do this in the least amount of time possible, and you can have the majority of the rewards, you know, which of course doesn't really exist. You know, there's always a cost that comes comes along with whatever perceived benefit. But I feel that if you're working against your DNA, right? So if our DNA on the one hand is saying conserve energy because we don't know where our next meal is coming from, we're genetically programmed. That's what we're being told constantly. Our cells are basically saying, oh, whoa, hold on a second. Be careful, because we don't know where our next meal is coming from. In the past, we had something overriding that message, which was, you know what? I'm hungry. We need to get some food. You know what? I'm cold. We need to shelter ourselves from the elements. You know what? We don't have enough food where we are now. We need to go cut some serious miles to be able to get to somewhere else that has a better habitat for us. So DNA saying, slow down, relax, convenience. The world around us saying, if you continue to do that, you're going to have problems. You're not going to survive. In the 21st century, we still have the DNA telling us, hey, relax, take it easy, convenience. Think about great ideas to get us to be even more convenient, life to be more convenient. But our environment now isn't telling us, hey, if you don't move, there's going to be a problem. Yeah. Hey, if you don't move, you can't feed yourself or your family. If you don't move, you can't build your shelter. You know, so that's the problem. The 21st century human is still in a hunter-gatherer body and ecosystem, I suppose, our own ecosystem. But the environment around us is like saying, hey, just relax, don't walk, take it easy. And we'll enable you to do that in all of these amazing, glorious ways of technology and mechanical devices. And so that's the problem. So even though we do feel great, and the reason we feel great is because the feel-good hormones, like endorphins and serotonin, and the natural response of dopamine and oxytocin when we're working within a group, all of those feel-good hormones are activated. We know this. We feel great when we do this. The problem is, as soon as we stop doing that, we start to recognize how good it feels to do less. That's the problem. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel play is a solution to that. Because with play, you're not focusing on how good you're going to feel when you've completed the task. Play usually feels good immediately. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if you said to a 7-year-old, hey, I've got this amazing game you can play. Really? Tell me what the rules are. Okay, here are the rules. And you're going to feel really good after 30 days of doing this. Yeah. Like what? Or 12. Yeah. You can transform yourself in 12 weeks. Yeah. Little one, if you do all this different stuff. Like what? For them, they're just thinking, what can I get out of this now? Yeah. And this is another problem for humans, because as adults, we're constantly being told, you have to wait, delayed gratification. You know, you've got to put all that work in before you can achieve the rewards. And with physical activity, we also know that the benefits are immediate. You get healthful benefits You get feel-good benefits right away, but people forget about the fun of physical activity, the fun of movement, and that's part of the problem. So
Yeah.
we need to
So
change our mindset, I suppose.
yeah, so well said. That was so well said. So I know you have this is a good segue into what you have on your website. You said it's about rediscovering the joy. Talk about that just real briefly.
Yeah, so I think for me, recognizing I used to work in technology within investment banking, very sedentary, 16 hours a day, pretty much 7 days a week at a desk. I then realized I need to exercise. Started exercising, had got all of these benefits. My blood pressure came down. I was, pre-diabetic down to normal blood sugars. My cardiovascular disease risk went from high risk to low risk. I was receiving all these benefits, looked better, felt better. The things that usually happen when you start an exercise regimen.
Hmm.
But I realized I wasn't enjoying it. I started to put off exercise sessions. I started to sign up to classes but not attend. I realized that I wasn't really in love. I was with exercise. I was just in love with the results.
Hmm.
And of course, the results start to taper off. They're not as miraculous as they are when you first start doing it.
Yeah.
So I needed something else to make it sustainable. And for me, that was play. I
Hmm.
remembered what the last time that I enjoyed movement in my life was probably going back to my, late teens into my 20s, when I would love to go to nightclubs and I would dance all night, and I wouldn't be thinking about muscle soreness or how many, cardio minutes have I done on a dance floor, or,
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
about, oh, I like this song, I'm going to dance. And if I can, I'll dance all night. That was joy. That's what it was about. Joy and pleasure. Then I was thinking, well, okay, that's as an adult. What about when I was a kid? And then, of course, it wasn't my PE classes at school. It wasn't when I was training I wanted to become a basketball player, just at a city level. I wasn't
Hmm.
that great, but I
Hmm.
played for the school and I wanted to play for the city. Didn't qualify, but I didn't enjoy the drills and the training. I enjoyed pickup as basketball, as you call it in the US, and as we would just say, yeah, just
I totally relate to that. Me too. I had
yeah.
more fun playing pickup games than actually playing, in the team with the coach and all that. Absolutely, it was a more
Yes.
fun, wasn't
Yeah, exactly. With your
it?
friends,
Yeah,
you change the rules on the fly. You
yeah,
have it's you have a bit of heckling and a bit of banter,
yeah,
and again, it's about fun. That's the number one part of that is, yeah, there's some competition. Yeah, there might be some rivalry, but if we're not having fun, we're not playing. We're not engaging, and you can play for hours. I mean, that's the other thing about when you're really enjoying yourself. You're playing a game, a competitive game, you're done. First quarter, you're like, whoo, you know, coach, can you sub me out? Whoo. But if that same intensity with a pickup game,
yeah,
you could literally play for hours, okay, let me catch my breath. Okay, I'm back in, and, and so again, it's just a shift in mindset. It's a shift in attitude. And I wanted to recapture that. And recapturing it wasn't even thinking about sport, actually.
mhm,
It was thinking about the purest of games as a kid, climbing trees,
yeah,
playing, building dens, or what do you call them in the US? Forts, I suppose.
yeah, for it.
Building forts, climbing trees, climbing walls, jumping over creeks, going on huge explorations on a bike. You have no idea where you are. You're just miles and miles away from home. You've got to get back before you, you've got to get
Right.
back. So we've got to find our way back. We're going to make sure we get back for dinner, so we don't get grief off the
Yeah,
parents.
yeah,
Back before sundown. Whatever the rules are. So that that environment, that sense of exploration and risk, I wanted to take that and port it to me as an adult.
yeah.
And that's how Primal Play
So,
came about. That's how I developed this system of movement,
so
which
that's what
at
it
the
is. It's,
core
it's
was
it's
play.
really about just movement. It's just about moving your body, and that's what's fun, and that's what's natural. And
Mm.
and so I want you to talk just. I mean, we're almost out of time here because we're trying to keep these short. But I want you to talk a little bit about how you actually I teach people in your Primal Play course. But I just want to add too, real quickly, this is important, is that they had a recent scientific study on that very same topic, where they had one group of people uh, exercise really intensely for an hour every day. Every day they work really hard. And then in the other group, they just had them keep moving throughout their day, just keep moving, do movements. And at the end of
Yes.
the study, the group that just kept moving throughout their day lost more weight than the people who were really working out like a boot camp, real intense for 1 hour a day. So I think that's the message. Even if you're working out really hard for an hour every day, but then what are you doing the rest of the day? You're sitting.
Yes.
You have a sedentary lifestyle. So movement
Yes.
is really the best thing. So talk to us real briefly about what you have to offer and teach people in your Primal Play movement course.
Yeah, so I suppose I teach people how to get in touch with their inner child.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you learn to enjoy movement again? Then thinking about the movement patterns that humans were designed to do, and partaking in those. So not thinking about one track of fitness, but all of the different varieties of fitness that we need to engage in, from power and strength, right through to to speed, to agility, to balance, coordination, stamina, endurance, all these different flavors of movement that we should be engaging in, making sure it's compound movement, so engaging all of our body in multiple planes, so kind of three-dimensional movement, and making sure the activities are very varied. Hence why I use animal movements as a huge part of the primal play method, because if you think about how animals move, and the fact that humans can mimic pretty much all mammals, all animals, it increases and encourages exploration of movement. It challenges the mind as well as the body. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much, I suppose, a synopsis of what primal play is about.
Yeah, it sounds like so much fun. I just add thing too, most asanas, postures in yoga were learned by watching what animals were doing. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yes.
that's such an amazing thing you came up with. Well, we're going to have do a podcast where we can just go as long as we want and really explore a lot of this a lot more. That'll be a lot of fun. But for our viewers, I want to remind our viewers too that in all these sessions that we're giving you the essence of what you really need to do to really get started. But there's so much more to learn. So we really recommend, and remind you that there's a PDF that comes with your video and audio trainings. And so be sure to check out the PDF, because there you're going to have all the contact information of Daryl and how to contact him and go to his website and learn more about, because he has so much more to offer you. So you definitely want to check that out, because there's a lot more that you can learn and do that'll be really beneficial for you. So Daryl, let's end by just, what would you recommend people just begin, something simple, easy they can start doing right now today to add more play and movement into their life?
Yeah, so I would say avoid convenience.
Yeah.
Take regular movement breaks. Okay, and the third is to remain curious. So that would be my ABC: avoid convenience, B for movement breaks, and C for remain curious. So do something different every day. Make sure you're having fun. Make sure you're exploring what you're capable of, rather than thinking about what you can't do. Think about what you can, and have a playful attitude whilst you do so. So those would be my recommendations.
ABC. That's so good, Daryl. That's so good. Thank you so much for that.
You're
So
welcome.
again, at the end of each one of these sessions, I always want to remind all of our viewers that, remember, knowledge without action is useless, right? So you've got to take these recommendations from all of our experts and begin to implement them into your daily life. And I promise you, when you do, your overall health and well-being in your life is just going to take it to the next level. You're going to be really glad you did. And especially, me too, because I'm all in with Daryl on this, just begin to move more. You got to keep moving. It's going to make such a big difference in your life. So Daryl, that was so good. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Rika. It's been a fantastic chat, and I look forward to a podcast we do in future.
Very good. Thanks so much.